Morning, everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. This is Donnie Schwartz from Passover Listings. We are super excited. We're going to be doing another inside scoop around Passover programs today with two operators, one from the U.S., one international, and we're going to dive into a handful of different topics, insider advice, and future trends. So today we're gonna have some really interesting conversations with Robert Frusher over here, who just joined us from Leisure Time Tours. How are you, Robert?
I'm good, Donnie. How are you?
Very good. And then we are waiting for our friend to join as well. Um, and then we will jump right in. There we go. Okay. Hopefully that worked here. Okay. So while we're waiting for one other operator to jump on, Passover program operator, we're going to talk about today how to evaluate and compare Pesach programs to one another. So what are the red flags? What are the green flags? Who to ask, right? Another topic we're going to get into are hidden costs guests don't expect. So what are these? These are like tips and upgrades, excursions, alcohol, room charges, children fees. We're going to get into destination trends, domestic versus international, Caribbean, Europe, Israel, um, many different types of different destinations. We will also get into technology and the future of booking. So, online platforms, AI, personalization, virtual tours, wait list, right? So, we'll get into those things. And then we'll really leave off with where the market is headed. So, obviously, post COVID recovery, new demographics, affordability pressure, things of that nature. Um, so we will get into that very soon. We are just waiting for someone to jump on here. Hang tight for 1 minute. All right, where is it? Let's see.
Come on, Donnie, while I'm young.
Got to bear patience is a virtue. Hold on. Let's see. Thanks everybody for jumping on. Okay. I think we're good here. Okay, let's see.
Oh,
Okay, let's see. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, hey David, your camera's facing. There you go. Okay, we
Ah,
got Dave.
there we go.
How
Hey
are you,
guys,
Dave? Yeah, how
David
are you?
Wallace.
nice to see you, both of you,
Good to see
in
David,
the
you
live
too.
flesh. You know what? I'm
I
going
can
to sit over
honestly,
here.
I can
You got a bit
honestly
of
say
background.
you've aged since the last time I saw you, David.
Have I what? Say again.
You've
Haven't aged or
aged.
have
Have
aged?
not, have not. He said, have not. Hey,
What are you talking about? The last time I saw David, he was like, he was young and spry, and he didn't have a wrinkle and nothing.
listen,
Still don't have. Right?
the age is like fine wine. All right,
Ah,
so for those guys jumping in, this is David Wallace from Kosher Travelers. What's really interesting about this
talk
session,
about the
guys?
fine wine.
Oh, there you go.
L'chaim.
Beautiful, l'chaim,
By
l'chaim.
me, it's 6:30 p.m.
I
I've
know,
worked
I
today.
know. We won't keep you.
I
David,
know.
I got
We
news
won't.
for you. At 6:30 p.m., I'm still not holding a glass of wine.
Try it. Try it,
He's
my
hold,
friend.
he's holding tequila. That's why. Um, So this is going to be a really interesting session. We got two operators, long-term operators who've been around for a long time. You both, operate many programs, Pesach programs at a time. This is actually a unique opportunity. Robert over here operates six different Passover programs, and David, I can't wait. What's it up to now? How many Passover programs do you have? Four
Cool.
Passover programs all in, there's Greece, right, Israel, so all around Europe, Middle East. So this is going to be a really, really interesting conversation to have. I'm excited to actually have this with both of you guys, and I want to dive in to a very interesting thing that a lot of people have trouble with, right? From someone over here who talks to thousands of people, consumers every year, the biggest thing they find around the 120 Passover programs out there is how do you evaluate and compare these programs to one another? What are some of those red flags and green flags? Who to ask to make sure that you're choosing the right one, right? So, before we dive in, talk about this. When we talk about these topics, don't talk about it from your program specifically. You guys are the industry experts, been around for forever. So, talk it more holistically in terms of what advice you guys would give to really evaluate and compare these programs. Maybe David, you want to take that one first, and we'll go to Robert after.
Sure. Look, I think one of the most important things is for people to do their research. Um, Determine destination, number one. Once you've decided on a destination and you've got buy-in from everybody in the family, then the next thing to do is research the various operators who are running programs in that destination. And then once you've drilled down to the operator, has he got experience? Has he done it before? Has he done it before at that hotel? Um, Ask for references, ask for copies of the program from previous years, and you already get a feel. Is he cooperate? Are their team who's answering the call, at the other end of the line, are they cooperating or are they avoiding questions, or they're just saying, yeah, we'll be good, not to worry, everything's fine, we've done this many years in a row? Or are they really upfront? Are they giving you the information that you're asking for? I think
Great.
that's a very important place to start.
Yeah. And while Robert is frozen here, we'll keep going on that. So when you say references, I mean that's interesting. I mean, obviously destination's key. Find out what people going. Let's say people they don't care. Whether it's Greece, it's Israel, it's America, Mexico. Um, what other areas, right, would you recommend them to start? Now how would they narrow it down if location didn't matter? Robert, you're
Okay.
back.
Did Robert hear what I said, or he was frozen out?
Oh, I heard you said basically you said location. Um, what was number two?
Was references,
Yeah,
checking out, who's the operator, what experience they've had, have they been
yeah,
to that hotel, etc.
Yeah.
right. Okay, so yeah, I mean, Donnie, that's what I did mention that to you that you know, location is if you're not if you're not interested in going to Europe and you're a U.S. based customer, then obviously half the hotels aren't that are being marketed aren't for you. And likewise, even if you're on the side of the world, meaning the American side of the world, are you interested in going to an island type of program? Let's say it'd be in Mexico or one of those type of programs. There's a lot of people. If they're traveling with, if you're traveling a couple, or you're two people, three people, but once you're talking about 10, 15 people, a lot of times there's a lot of different reasons why, they don't want to go, whether or not it, a
So
Mexico or they want to
so
stay, in the 50, in the US. So,
right. So I'll tell you, the European programs, as we all know, they're much more affordable than the American programs, right? And there's plentiful of European all around the European countries, in Greece, in Italy, right, Spain, right, and we can keep going on, even in Israel. Let's assume for a moment, guys, a hypothetical situation here that someone wants to go to Europe, but they don't know where to go, right? So it's more of a location. Obviously, you can say, yeah, definitely the operators. I fully agree with you. What have they done in the past? Are they reputable? Have they run a good program? Great. But, past that, there are many operators that run good programs in Europe. And so how would you then narrow those down? What other flags would you look for? Especially when it comes to references. There have been people that say, if a program gives references, it's good. But at the end of the day, they're not going to give bad references, right? They're going to go to their buddies and we all and say, hey, I need your help, right? With so how do you give that customer a sense of comfort outside the 2030 programs are looking into? David, why don't you?
I would suggest the most important question you to ask is who is the crowd, who is the operator, and is there a synchronization between the operator and the demographic that he is targeting? Because
Mm,
what you find without any names or whatnot, there are operators out there, let's say French Israelis, who are targeting Anglos, don't understand the culture, don't speak a word of English, and targeting English speakers, wanting the Anglo market. And Anglo, I mean American and British and Canadian and Australian and South African, all those who speak English. And then what happens is, guests will arrive and they will not find themselves at the hotel because most of the people and the operators are speaking French or Hebrew, and that's something very, very important to discriminate when looking for a program. I think it's very important because I hear every year, which you don't hear in the mainstream and through the social media. What you don't hear about these stories, but I hear as an operator of clients who tell me, and even Erev Chag, we even had one year a
mm-hmm,
client arriving at a hotel where full-on Israeli program, and he's asking himself, what is he doing here? Do you have some spare rooms? Erev Chag,
mm-hmm.
for me and my family, 6 rooms, and we were able to help them out. But they said if we were stuck at that hotel, we would not have found ourselves. We would not have been happy, and we paid so much money. And we just want the right atmosphere, vibe, and guest connections where people
Mm-hmm.
can make connections with one another, can meet and greet each other in English. That's at least my
That's a great
demographic.
That's a
But I think
great,
that's an
great point.
important
I
one.
love that. Yeah, the crowd is key, and like you said, like what the language is and that barrier, and I've heard that as well. Yeah, definitely. Robert, anything to add on that?
Um, yeah, I mean, listen, I generally think the listen, I'm more old school and I've been doing this, forever. So, I think of the market in generally as a knowledgeable market. I do think though that obviously, given the last, whatever you want to call it, 10 years, 15 years, whatever it is, that there's been a proliferation of European programs. And obviously the market, um, has changed in terms of you now have couples in their 20s that don't even go with the family, that are just they want to go away now. And with the European programs, they're quite affordable. Some of them I laugh. I say it's more expensive to stay home for Pesach than it is to go away to some of these programs. It's just incredible to me. And yes, you do have people that don't have history in terms of going. And I mean, there are I sometimes get a call and they say, oh, leisure time tours, oh, I never heard of you before, like, where have you been? And I'm like, well, if you never heard of me, then
Where
you
have you,
never
where have
heard.
you been? Where have you been for 40 plus years? Right?
Right. Right. So, you definitely get people, whether they're their 20s and the 30s and they're going away for the first time. Yeah, they definitely could step in it. They
Yeah,
definitely could. They're looking at an ad or online and it all sounds good, and the price, oh my God, this is fantastic. Boom, let's book it.
yeah. No, you definitely
And
get what
then
they. Yeah.
yeah, and
I
then they
think that's
get and
another
then they
thing. Robert, I think that's another thing for people to look out. Is if the price is too cheap, that should be an alarm, a red line. People should be aware. You cannot run a program when you're selling it for so cheap, 2, 3 thousand, even 4,000 a person, a couple rather. Sorry, a couple. And there are programs out there, and it's impossible
Right.
to deliver as an operator
So,
and not let people down. Tell me
so,
if you
so
agree.
So let's stay on that for a
100%.
minute. Let's stay on that for a minute. Let's talk about this because Robert and I, we've had a couple of these sessions where this has come up, Dave. I'd love to get your opinion on this, right? So international programs, we all know, are much, much cheaper and more affordable, right, than the American and the Mexico programs. So one question I have, why do you think that is? What makes them more affordable? I mean, these people are, I would say pretty smart people, right? They're not going to go into a new venture, if they're not going to, at least from the starting point, make money. So what do you think comes up at the end of the day? Do you think a lot of these programs lose money and they don't realize that these other hidden costs that come up that the hotels gouge? Or do you think they go in it with two eyes wide open, really do their homework, and they make money?
So
I
I'll
mean, how,
tell
how
you.
do they operate? Yeah, tell me.
Right, I'll tell you. I think
Well,
there are
first of
two
all, one
factors.
second. Let's
Go
correct
ahead.
Donnie right away. He said a lot of these guys are very smart people. No, Donnie, they're not. They just don't know. It's like I
Right.
told you,
Well, so
Donnie,
so so so
a
that's the
long
thing.
time
I
So
think
ago.
we're here to educate the market.
yeah. So listen, it may not be that they're smart. It
No,
may
no, no.
not.
I'm not talking about the guests now.
It
I'm talking
may.
about the operators.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking.
So listen, it may not be that they're smart to your point, but it may be that they don't know, right? Of these
Correct.
things. So they can still
Right.
be smart, and they're not aware. So I'm going back to the question of, and this is for David, is what are these guys not aware of, and whether or not they're smart or not doesn't matter. But what are they not aware of, right? To say going into these programs and saying I'm going to charge. I'd say most programs charge anywhere from $6,000 to $7,000, right? Obviously, you have the people that are charging 4 to 5. You have the people that are charging a little bit higher. But what are we missing here? Or what are they missing, for that matter,
So
to be careful of?
uh,
Knowledge.
I'll say the first of all, there are young guys out there who seem to think that veteran operators like us, are just drowning in creating, profitable programs, and it's just so easy. Nothing's easy. It doesn't come easy. It's a year's worth of work, toil, effort, energy, resources, not just of ourselves. We have teams that work at this, and you need to be conscious of every single detail, and it's not something that you can just pop up, within 3 months before and begin operating. So I think where people get caught out, if that's your question,
Yeah,
as to where that they don't know the potential costs, potential unknowns, so many unknowns. You're talking essentially at the end of the day, you're talking about 1,000 moving parts that come together in a very, very finite period of time. And they have to line up like a perfect, well oiled machine. And they can only do that, A, if you've had the experience, B, you're working with a hotel that has management and staff that understand what you're trying to achieve. This is not an ordinary conference.
yeah.
In fact, most hotels would run away from a project like this once they hear the details and what's involved. It's down to the minute details. We won't go into it, but we're talking about just what we call a
Give,
gala
give,
night, which is
give,
Lela
give,
Seder.
give,
As an
give,
example,
yeah. Give an
okay,
example. That's what I
so
was going to ask you. Give like a
talk
one or
about
two.
talk about the first night of arrival. Okay, forget the fact that you've got 500, 600 people that have just arrived into the hotel over the last day or two, and they're settling in. Some for the first time, and they're getting used to getting their bearings of the hotel and the public areas and all that. Forget about that. So you've got to have staff dealing with that. At the back end, you're dealing with a hotel that now has to understand the minutia and the detail of what we call, our Greek partners call it, the gala night. Okay, the two gala nights, Lela Seder. But they now
Mhm.
understand what is a Lela Seder, what goes into a Lel Seder. Okay, the timing, right? The food doesn't come out when you walk in from shul and you start sitting down and start eating, and either have service to the table or you have buffet, etc. It doesn't work like that, right? You've got the Haggadah. You got to get through it. You have different families sitting down at different times eating because you've got private setters, you have semi-private setters, you have communal setters, you have family setters in the main dining room. So you're breaking that down to the detail, and then try explaining to them why some people want to be up till 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. And, they've got to have staff available to make sure to clear the tables, to be on hand when they run out of karpas. Okay, you run out of lettuce. So you've got to have a waiter on hand, not in a half an hour time when they need to make the bracha on karpas now,
Yeah.
not in 7 minutes, not in a half an hour, they need it now. So all that has to be prepared and coordinated with the
Yeah.
back end of the kitchen and the staff of the hotel and our staff to make sure that that can be delivered in
I love
real
that.
time.
It's, yep.
It's the only way,
It's all about,
and there are operators out there that don't think of these things. Maybe they do,
yeah.
but until they really, really get
So,
into it, they don't know what they're doing.
So let's move to a different topic. We don't have much time here, unfortunately, but we will definitely maybe do a part two of this this week if you both have time. Um, the next topic I wanted to get into on this note is, how technology in the future of booking is changing, right? Obviously, there's a lot of discussions out there, like with AI as an example, right? And personalization. You guys are one of both of you guys, prestigious companies, been around for forever, know this business inside out, for Passover, non-Passover. How are you leveraging other platforms, AI, personalization, things of that nature to speed up or make your jobs easier? A lot of questions around that these days. So I'm just curious if you guys were thinking that route. Robert, you
Sure.
want to start?
I could speak for myself where, you know, even last year, it would take, one of my people, depending on how complicated the quote is, but it would take them, a lot of times 45 minutes, an hour to carefully do a quote.
Mm.
Today, we have a program that actually was created on, via AI, that we're able to, pump out a quote in 5, 6 minutes.
Oh, it's amazing.
Um, yeah, which is really, really incredible from a time standpoint, and also, years back, someone would call you on a Monday, and they'll be there sitting around till Thursday. What I'm saying, before they get a quote. Now, I literally can turn a quote out that the customer calls, they give the information, boom, here's your
That's
quote.
amazing. That's great.
So that's
I love that.
fantastic.
And
And
our
Dave,
team uses AI ChatGPT for that.
yeah.
But I will add,
Oh, yeah.
and I'll take a leaf out of your book, Robert, as you said right at the beginning, a bit old school, is that there's nothing like a personal touch. At the end of the day, people are parting with serious money. They want to speak to somebody. They want to have the service. They want to have somebody to answer any questions.
Yep.
And we will, from our perspective, we don't think that's an area to be compromised. Obviously, the tools, like Robert mentioned, they're all great to make life easier and quicker and more efficient in the office. But from the user experience, I think anyway, that old school and real hands-on follow-up, conversation. And
No question.
sometimes I think you'd agree, Robert. Sometimes if you hear the type of questions that people are asking, we will turn around and say, actually, we don't think this hotel is for you. This program is
Mm-hmm.
not suitable for you or your
Mm-hmm.
family. If they're
Mm-hmm.
asking real, focused on religious issues, on, the pool and what type of people and what people are wearing and what color hats they're wearing and how big is the base medrash, etc. We'll say, well, maybe there are other programs that are more suitable for you, and we'll be
David,
straight up
thank
honest with you.
thank God I don't get too many of those calls.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that
All
that
right.
that that that's a good point, right? Because that will tell
Yeah.
like sometimes a good program operator from like a program operator that just wants to sell you and get you in the door, right? When they're trying to tell you, hey, you know what? Let me make sure that this is going to meet your requirements and needs. One of the things that we're doing actually this year for the first time, I don't even think I told both you guys this. This is a new, but obviously historically we've had a concierge service where we take calls and we talk to people, and we'll still have this, but we're going to be introducing an AI a very advanced AI chatbot for people who come to our website that want to narrow down their search and ask any types of questions
Yeah, filter them out.
around that, which would really, increase productivity and
Yeah,
help them narrow down choices, right? To
I
me,
think
that's
I think
very simple.
I think one of the boxes should be price. That's definitely
Yeah.
a huge filter.
Yep.
There are some people that save up all year, and some
Yeah.
people that don't think twice and bring
Yeah.
70 people to a program.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, David,
So,
that's why, I'm sure on my website, I put the pricing down for each of the properties. So, there's no, if you're 6,000, dollar, a couple, if that's what you're looking for, don't pick up the phone and even dial. It doesn't even make
Yeah,
sense.
it,
We're,
it, it's
exactly.
it's
we're
so
weeding
true.
out as much as possible, wasted, wasted time. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, um, just
Yeah.
to type out the quote used to take a long time, but my people
Correct.
all spend an enormous amount of time on the phone. You know, the people obviously are very particular. How many steps is it to the dining room, and are there stairs, and first floor, second floor, connectings, kings, two queens, the whole 9 yards. It's a long phone call.
Yeah,
So, and they spend a lot of time with that person. That's the one thing I tell my people: don't rush off the phone. Okay, you want to make that connection, you want to speak to that person, you want to really really feel them out. As far as getting them that quote, boom, get them that quote, ASAP. But even because I have pricing on my website, when you're talking about an extended family and it starts getting complicated, and this one's coming for partial, and the whole 9 yards. So to do a
exactly.
quote, it
Yeah.
takes a lot of effort. But
Definitely.
Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do. We are going to. I'm going to say cut this short. We've already been on the bridge here for 25 minutes, but we're going to have a
Well,
part two of this later this week, and we're going to dive into a couple other topics. I think this is amazing. I love talking to long-term operators that have multiple programs because you guys see it from different angles. And I appreciate your guys' time. Obviously, today was a great conversation around many different areas out there in terms of evaluation of programs, comparing programs, different trends, international versus US, some of the technology. We're going to dive in later this week or early next week on where the market is headed, some of the hidden costs that people are not really sometimes aware of. Sometimes programs bake them in, sometimes they don't. I appreciate your guys' time, and we'll catch up later this
David,
week. David and
the next
Robert,
time,
appreciate it.
the next time you come on, bring Hannah. I'd like to say hello.
absolutely,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely,
All
Maybe we'll
right.
do it. All right.
absolutely. Or maybe we'll do a session with Hannah instead of me. Hey, she's my partner.
There you go.
Absolutely.
All right,
All
guys.
Very
right.
Thanks so
good.
much. We'll talk
All
All
the
right,
soon.
best.
guys.
All the best.
Good
Take
to
Take
see
care.
care.
you.
Be
Good
well.
to catch up. Thank
Same
you.
here.